Breaking news, January 2026. Poland orders Baobab-G tracked mine-laying vehicles to stop Russian offensive. That is the stark headline landing on news desks this week, and the immediate implication is unmistakable. Europe is strategically preparing for a serious threat on its eastern flank. For those of you supporting Ukraine and European security, you know how crucial the defense line is and, well, how important it is to have the right intelligence to understand this pivot. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Arya in the latest deep dive by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today, we're going to cover the centerpiece of this preparation, the heavy-duty weapon system Europe hopes it never, ever has to use.
Welcome, everyone. We are focusing squarely on Poland's massive, and I mean rapid, commitment to modernizing its mine warfare capabilities. This isn't just some technical upgrade, it's a profound strategic shift.
And it's a shift based on what we've seen on the ground, right?
Exactly. Our deep dive is anchored in the operational lessons learned directly from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Specifically, how critical modern deep minefields are in delaying, degrading, and ultimately halting major armored breakthroughs.
We have a stack of sources here that tell a fascinating story. In-depth defense analysis on modern cluster munitions and mines, the detailed procurement roadmap for the Polish Baobab system, and we'll get into both the wheel and the tracked variants, and then the vast overarching context of Poland's Eastern Shield defense program.
Our mission today is to connect these dots. We need to understand how Poland's modernization plan, with its tracked Baobab-G mine layer as its spearhead, is effectively transforming NATO's eastern flank into a digitally integrated, heavily fortified barrier.
And maybe most critically, we have to analyze the profound strategic and, frankly, political cost of this preparedness. We're talking about international treaties here.
That's where it gets very complicated.
Okay, let's start right there with that hard choice. This headline isn't just about a vehicle. It confirms a massive, and I think for many, an uncomfortable doctrinal shift among key NATO members.
It really is. The first layer of defense here isn't a wall or a bunker, it's a minefield.
And that means revisiting a global humanitarian agreement.
That's the core tension. The geopolitical context is everything. What we're seeing is a direct, proportional reaction to Russia's operational doctrine, which, as we know, includes extensive, indiscriminate use of landmines.
And Russia is not a party to the 1997 Ottawa Convention.
Not at all. And that's the crux of it. So Poland's official move here is the policy shockwave we have to discuss. Warsaw has voted to pull out of the Ottawa Convention, a move set to take effect in early 2026.
This is not a decision taken lightly, but the rationale is crystal clear in the sources we looked at.
Precisely. Polish officials argue they cannot afford to, and I'm quoting here, put itself in a straitjacket by adhering to a treaty that their primary adversary is ignoring and actively weaponizing. It's a cold calculation. A calculation based on what happened in Ukraine.
Yes. Minefields proved to be critical force multipliers, especially in those early phases of the invasion, slowing armored columns and allowing defenders to concentrate fire.
But we have to acknowledge the other side here. There's significant international pushback on this, isn't there?
Absolutely. And domestic opposition, too. While the security argument is strong that these new smart mines can deter war humanitarian organizations, they cite the inherent risk of any landmine use. They point to past failure rates, the long-term risk of unexploded ordnance.
So the debate really hinges on whether the tech is good enough to justify the political cost of leaving a major humanitarian treaty.
That's it in a nutshell. It fundamentally changes the definition of defense for NATO's eastern members. We're moving away from post-Cold War hopes and toward a practical, digitally integrated barrier designed for high-intensity warfare. This is preparedness on a scale we haven't seen in a generation.
Okay, so let's talk about the tool at the center of this preparedness, the Baobab system.
Right. It addresses the need for mobile, protected, and very rapid mine deployment. And as you said, we are looking at two variants in Poland's plan. First, the wheeled Baobab-G based on a commercial Jeltsch truck that starts delivery soon.
But the main prize is the other one.
The main prize, yeah. The heavily armored, tracked Baobab-G, which is slated for delivery starting in 2029.
Okay, let's get technical for a moment because this is where the survivability comes in. The Baobab-G uses a tracked chassis derived from the Polish AHS Krab self-propelled howitzer. Why go so heavy-duty for something that just lays mines?
That chassis is key. For our listeners, the Krab is based on the South Korean K9 Thunder platform, which is known for its superb cross-country mobility and durability. So using this heavy track platform gives the Baobab-G two immediate advantages.
Survivability and mobility.
Exactly. Survivability first. Its armored cab provides STANAG 4569 level protection, meaning the two-person crew is safe from small arms, fire, shell fragments, all while deploying mines right near the front line.
And mobility.
That's the second part. The tracks allow it to navigate the really rugged, marshy lowlands, the dense forests, the off-road environments typical of Poland's eastern border. It ensures they can keep pace with heavy armor brigades.
So they can lay obstacles exactly where and when they are needed most.
Precisely.
Okay, give us the numbers that matter. What can one of these vehicles actually do on the battlefield?
One Baobab carries a huge payload, 600 of these sophisticated MN-123 anti-tank mines. They're distributed across 120 canisters, and the entire deployment process is automated, controlled from the safety of that armored cabin.
And the speed. That was the figure that just jumped out at me from our sources.
Speed is the tactical game changer here. It can deploy a continuous minefield up to 1,800 meters long that's nearly a mile of layered defense and between 60 to 180 meters deep.
And it does all that in
under 30 minutes, all while moving at tactical speeds between 5 and 24 kilometers per hour. That capability to instantly close a gap or reinforce a vulnerable sector. That is the defining lesson Poland took from the initial Russian thrust in Ukraine.
But we have to come back to the elephant in the room, the humanitarian risk. Poland is justifying its treaty withdrawal by pointing to its use of smart munitions. What exactly does that tech entail for this MN-123 mine?
The SMART designation is critical here. These mines use a magnetic influence fuse, so they activate without contact, triggered by the metal signature of an armored vehicle passing over them.
Okay.
They also have anti-disturbance features to deter easy removal. But most importantly, they are fully programmable with self-destruct or self-neutralization timers. The crew can set the mine to become inert after 2, 3, 5, or up to 30 days.
So the argument is that they don't stay on the battlefield forever. But if they rely on a timer, what's the failure rate? That's what the critics always focus on.
And that is the essential counter-argument. While the manufacturer claims very high reliability, even a small failure rate of, say, 2 to 5% on millions of mines, well, it translates to tens of thousands of unexploded ordnance.
A significant risk.
A very real risk. Poland's position is that this risk, while real, is significantly lower than that posed by Russia's indiscriminate use of dumb mines, and the deterrent effect of a high-speed temporary defensive line is worth that cost. It's a calculated exchange of political capital for immediate military security.
All right, so we've established the technical capability of the Baobab. Let's translate that into how it changes the game in a real crisis. This system isn't just for creating random obstacles.
Not at all. It's designed for integrated defense. The Baobab is integrated into the Two-Paisy battlefield management system.
The digital brain of the Polish military.
Essentially, yes. It connects all Polish artillery, command centers, and engineering units. This means the exact GPS coordinates of every single laid mine are recorded and instantly transmitted to friendly forces. This prevents friendly fire and, critically, ensures the minefield can be coordinated with artillery fire.
Creating those kill zones we always hear about.
Exactly. Let's focus on the most critical vulnerability mentioned in all the defense sources, the Suwałki Gap. That 40-mile strip of land between Kaliningrad and Belarus. How would the tracked Baobab-G be used there?
A notorious choke point.
The Suwałki Gap is challenging terrain-limited roads, lowlands. The Baobab-G is tailor-made for it. In a crisis, these vehicles would rapidly deploy scatterable mines to block forest trails and minor roads, immediately forcing any armored column onto the few major lines of communication.
So you channel them.
You channel them. And once they're concentrated and slowed by the minefield, those forces become prime targets for targeted artillery fire or anti-tank missile teams.
Yeah.
The minefield acts as the tactical fix that enables the defense to land the punch.
And the sources outline similar scenarios across the entire eastern flank, not just Poland.
Correct. The strategic depth of the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, is very, very limited. The Baobab allows for the rapid establishment of defensive fields along key routes, buying invaluable time for NATO reinforcement to arrive.
Every hour counts.
Every hour an armored thrust is delayed is an hour gain for the defense. And you see the same logic in the high north, in the rugged terrain of Finland and Norway. You use systems like the Baobab to channel movement into predefined engagement areas.
Even down by the Black Sea.
Even there. In Romania and Bulgaria, the speed of deployment is key for spoiling an amphibious or airborne landing, creating bottlenecks near coastal areas or major river crossings like the Danube.
So the Baobab is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. It sits under the umbrella of the Eastern Shield Tarza Washad. That's a truly staggering national commitment.
It is. We're talking about a 10 billion zloty, that's about 2.5 billion US dollars multi-year program. It's essentially Poland hardening its 418-kilometer border with Belarus and Kaliningrad, blending static and mobile defenses.
And the static defenses are what you'd expect. Bunkers, ditches.
Yes, concrete bunkers, extensive anti-tank ditches, and physical barriers like the concrete dragon's teeth we saw used so heavily by Russian forces in Ukraine.
This sounds less like a defense program and more like a logistical marvel built for instant readiness.
It is, and that logistics aspect is hugely underappreciated. The program includes building over 100 dedicated logistics hubs and warehouses right across the border, municipalities.
100 hubs. Why?
To store all the heavy fortification materials, the concrete blocks, timber, specialized digging equipment. The goal is to eliminate transport delays entirely, so engineering units can race to deploy defenses the instant a crisis is signaled.
Readiness is paramount.
Absolutely. We even see the international aspect here, with Germany planning to deploy 50 Bundeswehr engineers to Poland in 2026 to assist with construction. This is NATO solidarity turning into shovel-ready defense.
And all this demand is fueling a massive industrial surge within Poland itself.
That's the economic implication.
Yeah.
The Baobab program is massively fueling the state-owned defense industry group, PGZ. Belma, the key mine manufacturer, is receiving monumental investment over 311 million PLN to drastically expand its production capacity.
And by how much are we talking?
To put in perspective, they are increasing anti-tank mine production by 25-fold.
25 times. This is not a subtle move.
Not at all. Their goal is to build an inventory of between 5 and 6 million mines, both anti-tank and resuming anti-personnel production to safeguard that eastern border. It just underscores the severity of the threat assessment coming out of Warsaw.
And it really speaks volumes about the perceived utility of the Baobab, that its success is not just internal to Poland, it's being noticed across NATO.
Absolutely. It seems Poland is shifting from being primarily a recipient of military technology to a crucial innovator and exporter.
And we're seeing that with actual interest from other countries.
Yes. We know France has already expressed formal interest in acquiring the wheeled Baobab-G system. For major powers, this kind of high-speed, scatterable mine-laying capability fills a crucial gap that was, dramatically exposed during the fighting in Ukraine.
So this confirms Poland's role as a primary European security provider.
And a technology exporter. But the innovation doesn't stop with mine layers. Poland's military engineering institutes are clearly focused on field production and soldier survivability.
What other future tech stood out to you in the sources?
For me, the shift toward decentralized forward manufacturing is the most fascinating strategic pivot. Look at the Universal High Explosive Dual Purpose Grenade, the UGPO.
Okay, what is that?
It's a modular munition. It's designed to function as 3 different things: a standard hand grenade, an anti-personnel mine, or, crucially, a payload for the ubiquitous FPV drones. That versatility is a direct response to the kind of ad hoc warfare we see on the front line today.
So how do you make sure you have enough of them right where you need them?
Well, that's the genius of it. They developed a 20-foot shipping container that houses a complete production line for these UGPO grenades. This global factory can produce up to 1,500 of them per month, right under field conditions. It dramatically reduces logistical strain and reliance on long, vulnerable supply chains.
Wow. And on the static defense side, we're seeing technologies that sound almost like science fiction.
Indeed. We are seeing investment in additive manufacturing systems, basically large-scale, field-deployable 3D printers. They're capable of printing concrete fortifications right where they are needed.
So you can 3D print a bunker.
You can 3D print a bunker that meets rigorous NATO standards for protecting against heavy bombardment. This capability allows engineers to restore damaged infrastructure or create hardened bunkers instantly, eliminating the need to truck in thousands of tons of precast concrete.
So we're moving toward a future where a minefield isn't just a static hazard, but a smart, temporary defensive layer, and bunkers can be printed on demand.
That's the vision. The long-term plan for the Baobab includes fully networked mines that communicate with command centers, allowing entire fields to be selectively activated or deactivated to support friendly maneuvers. It's the full integration of digital combat management with physical obstacle creation,
giving defenders maximum flexibility while reducing long-term risk.
This deep dive really reveals that Poland's entire defense strategy is a proactive, digitally connected response. It's all built on survivability and the ability to impose immediate delay and disruption on any potential invading force.
And the Baobab-G is the symbol of that.
It really is. Coupled with the Eastern Shield logistics, it's the definitive symbol of a new, hardened Eastern flank, using smart technology to maximize military effect while simultaneously trying to address the very real humanitarian questions.
That speed and scale, laying an 1,800-meter minefield in under 30 minutes, that is a critical piece of modern deterrence. You can see how the bitter, hard-won lessons from Ukraine are instantly translating into defense policy for the whole of NATO's eastern edge.
It's happening in real time.
The question now for Europe and for us is whether this aggressive, layered investment in defense will be enough to achieve the ultimate goal: deterrence, making the cost of invasion simply too high to ever attempt. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Arya, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. The world of defense technology moves fast, and staying ahead of the curve is crucial. For continuous, expert analysis, subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.